go to Google DeFi, boom, exchange. Takes me to PulseX. Let's get into it. I get to chat a little bit later, but PulseX is the play. I'll just not go real DeFi here real quick. PulseX is the main topic of today to talk about and get you guys familiar with. So, of course, there's trading. PulseX is the DEX. What is PulseChain? PulseChain is a fork of Ethereum, and it's awesome, cheaper, faster. It's kind of the lowest common denominator. But what's really cool about PulseChain and what I hope remains is its premier product, for example, Hex. Hopefully will be a store of value. We'll return back to that, or that'll be the. I'm not going to get too much into it, but I hope the next Hex turns into or remains or whatever is the premier DeFi product. That's the store of value we all want it to be. And you have a whole bunch of other DeFi products on it. Some forks, some are new products. You have a whole city, a bunch of different things on it. But what's cool about PulseChain is you can actually interact with a lot of stuff. And a lot of the creators and all the people who have these visions and shared ideals and true DeFi stuff, they come to PulseChain. And they've been building some amazing stuff. One of the other products, again, PulseX is just one app on PulseChain that was released by Richard Hart, dev team, all that. It is the premier DEX. It has most liquidity. It has, it's a great place to farm. You provide liquidity. Otherwise, a lot of other good community projects out there that do that as well. I guess I'll talk about PHUX in a bit, but this is where you could liquidity provide. And again, if you want to deep dive into liquidity and stuff, I got a ton of videos and you can watch and go through on all that. I just want to briefly go over liquidity. Basically, so PulseX is a Pancake Swap fork of Pancake Swap, the original, which is a fork of Uniswap v2. You put up, if you want to provide liquidity, for example, so we'll just go to the farms real quick. And then, for example, say, okay, I want to farm, the PulseX Pulse pair. Go to the farm, do the drop down, get PulseX and wrap Pulse. Don't be confused about WPLS. It's just wrap Pulse, so it can be used in smart contracts and stuff. And then you would add equal sides, equal value for the coin. So let's say you do you want to put in 10K on this side, and that would be roughly equal to 21. You got the ratios and all this stuff too, 2.1, and they'll tell you the share of the pool and all that. So if you provide liquidity, so the interesting nuance with PulseX is there's V1 and V2. So V1 is you don't earn fees, but you can earn ink. You can farm it. So unless you just don't want to earn fees, so V2 you earn fees, but there's no farms. So when you're providing liquidity for anything else other than incentivized farms, you would again decide what you want to do. But a lot of people want to earn the LP fees, so they go to V2 and provide. So to do that, click V2, boom, you can do it on V2. If you want to farm though, that's on V1. So I call it burn and earn. Burn as in, you can look at the bottom here, adding liquidity helps burn PulseX. 100% of the swap fees go to buy and burn contract, which pays a 0.1%. Just read this helpful little note, tell you the difference at the bottom of the screen. And on V2, you can see by adding liquidity, you earn 0.22% of all the trades in this pair proportional to your share of the pool. So that'll tell you the difference. Think of burn and earn as far as LP fees go. Again, farms are only on V1. So you can't earn both with PulseX. You can only either earn the incentive token when you farm by doing LP, by staking your LP, or you can just do LP, earn the fees, but there's no farms on V2 as of now. That's how it is today. It could change in the future, but that's how it is today. So when you want to farm, again, you do the, you go into the farms here, you put up, equal sides on both. And again, I'm not going to connect wallet, but you can connect wallet and you click the buttons. And it's pretty straightforward. Again, there's plenty of content on the yield farming playlist here as well. And then once you do that, it's you're providing LP. Again, the fees are getting burned and stuff, just as the thing said. And then if you want to farm to earn the incentive token, you would just go here. After you do that, it'll be like add, enable, confirm. You just click a few buttons right here, and it'll stake your LP into the farm and basically lock it up. You'll become, part of the liquidity and all that. And you'll start earning the APR associated with the farm. So this one in particular, 20%, you got over 100%, a bunch of these. I'll go through the different ones here in a minute, but I wanted to talk about how this stuff works, at least a couple of the important angles. So the APR, it's basically how much, it's like the proportion of the rewards you earn relative to the share of the pool. So, you can say it in 100 different ways, but essentially it's like how much per year, and you can calculate it right here. As soon as I say that, it refreshes. One sec. So it's like how much you're expected to earn over time. So I'll just refresh it real quick. So if you have a calculator here, for example, you can do a calculator. It's really, really neat, really helpful. So for example, if you want to put in 10,000 USD for this particular pair, and it's automatically selected on year, according to the current APR, is 20%. And I'll talk about how they can go up and down stuff too. But if you go by the month for this particular farm, for Pulse and PulseX, it is around $166 today. Now, if ink goes up in value, that could be more. If the farms change the different incentivization, otherwise, I'll talk about that can fluctuate as well. But as of today, per month for the 20% farm, which is PulseX, it is over $150. And there's different ones, and I'll go into the different stuff with each one in a minute as well. But you have stablecoin with 122%. So if you put 10K in this one, for example, that would be like 5K on each side. So 10K total from the DAI. So 5K of DAI, 5K of Pulse in this example. You do in 30 days, it's over $1,000. So again, there's been a dip recently. A few days ago, these numbers were higher. I'm bullish on this ecosystem. I certainly hope they go higher. If the value and stuff goes up, it kind of makes everything flow a lot easier in the ecosystem. It's like in the incentive token, I did a lot of content on that too. You can understand the dynamics and tokenomics or all that stuff about it too. But essentially you're earning a token that is worth so much dollar value, and you're earning a percentage of it based on how much you put in, right? The more you put in, bigger shares you have of the rewards. And depending on how much the farms are incentivized, how much the rewards are distributed between each farm is how much you'll be earning. And that's how they kind of come up with this number. So $1,000 here, you saw about $150 on 20% one. You got over $1,000 here. For example, I think I based the $800 one, $800 a month from, probably the WETH one. So the Ethereum and Pulse. So you do that, 10,000. I think it's just under 800. Okay, so this went up a little bit. So right around $800 right here. So that's how, for example, if you were to participate per year based on current numbers, which if you've been around for the last 10 months since the launch of PulseChain, these numbers have wildly went up and down. They were up really high, and then they went down a lot, and now they went up a lot. So bear in mind the farms, the cryptocurrency, all that's volatile. Do your own research, figure that stuff out. I'm just trying to give you some information as far as the farms stuff goes here. So, so I talked about how the APR, where that comes from. Again, different pools can be incentivized. For example, so I don't want to get too technical, but the master chef, with PulseX and pancake swapping and all these other things, there are knobs the devs or whatever can turn to when they create a farm. Like they got to put an allocation of the different points and stuff to see how much of the token that is yield farmed, how much it gets earned. So you see, they can determine, okay, maybe for the stable coins, looks like they're much higher APR. Maybe they want to incentivize those more. For the different, like we got Hex and we got Pulse pair. That's got a certain level. We got the Ink and the Pulse and the Ink and PulseX pair. They have a certain level. So of course, to have, you want as many in an ecosystem to lock up TVL, to lock up, dollar value, right? You want a lot of stable coins paired with stuff. You want a lot of money, like not just tokens that go up and down. Those are great, but actual dollars are really good to have for people who want to cash out. They want to cash in, like whatever, they want to make trades, all that stuff too. And then with PHUX, you got really good stablecoin order execution because you have a whole bunch of stablecoins and farms and stuff like that there, which you can earn APR on as well. And I'll try to talk about that a little bit later. But as far as ROI goes, you got that. Again, these knobs, new farms can be added. They can be removed. There used to be, EXPX farm a while back as well. And then there used to be I think it's a wrap Bitcoin farm. It's been a while, a wrap Bitcoin farm there for a period of time as well. So these farms can be added or removed. We don't know what's going to happen in 2024. Be interesting. There'll be some new farms added, but it's just kind of, it's up to the governance model, whether it's the devs or whether it's community voted on, stuff like that. Things can change. PulseX, again, is at the basics. It's at a level where it works for farming, it works for LP, it works for trading. There's all kinds of different aggregators and community products that people can use as well. So this thing may get some upgrades. We'll see in the next few months or so. Maybe some timely upgrades. You never know. Just a second. I'll get to questions in just a minute, but I want to get through some of the fundamentals. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in there. I'll answer them as I can. So permanent loss, that's a big topic that people are always kind of rightfully afraid of as well when they start talking about LP, and of course farming is like a next level of LP. So, okay, let me kind of mention that too. I think it goes hand in hand. So why would you want to provide LP? So you can earn the fees, for example, on B2. Again, pay attention. On B2, you earn fees for LP. On B1, you earn the incentive token, no LP fees, and it helps buy and burn PulseX, which is pretty cool actually too. So for farming, if you're not earning LP fees, what are you getting here? It's like the whole ideal of farming usually, like its normal setup, is you earn the LP fees and the token. But if you're not earning the LP fees, at that point, you're kind of banking on, because of the impermanent loss aspect, you're banking on the token to be worth something, because that's supposed to make up for whatever impermanent loss you may have. And the impermanent loss is just basically like the ratio of the assets in the pool. They can change over time. That's why it's a permanent, because they can go up and down. And when they change, if you withdraw them at a certain time, you could have more of one pair than another. So for example, with if you have like a Pulse and PulseX one, for example, you get two volatile coins, right? They're cryptocurrency. They go up and down in value. They can fluctuate. So the primary risk with this is like the impermanent loss, right? So when the ratios between the tokens, what each other's worth, go up and down, it depends on when you withdraw it or when they settle, or if they don't settle, or if they are, all this stuff. That's why there's different advanced techniques of like pulling LP and putting in a certain time and all that stuff, if you want to end up with more of one or the other, or avoid doing such a thing. And we talk about like what's better in the bull and bear and all. We covered that a lot before as well too. But so the trading fees, again, if you're earning them, they can help offset that. If you're in a high volume pair and you're earning a lot of trading fees, if you're not, maybe not. Again, that's why farming can come along with this, because the farming token is worth a lot, and it's not a done forever token. And it's actually like people want it for some reason, whether they speculate for future value, or maybe it's incentivized in the pools, or when I get to the farms, I'll talk about the different compounding you can do. If you participate in the Inc. Pulse farm, Inc. PulseX farm, you can earn Inc. And then, if you want to add, you can just keep rotating it back in. You keep compounding it. You keep saying, okay, I earned, 100 ETH over a month or something like that. And then at the end of the month, you could add in, for example, I could add in another equal amount of PulseX or Pulse of that 100 ETH. And then, so that's actually buy pressure on Pulse and PulseX. And then just keep compounding it, and then keep earning more because I'm adding a bigger share of the pool and all this stuff. So you could end up with more of one or the other if the price goes up. If the price goes way up on one, you could end up with more of the other, and vice versa. Because it's always trying to balance, find a balance there with the what's it called, the formula, the AMM formula, the product. I forget what it's called. Anyways, the balancing there with the formula. I forgot what it's called. And then with stablecoin pairs, for example, you got like DAI USDC or USD or Tether, DAI, whatever. So unless there's some unpegging event again, right? You're gonna have a lot of volatility between them. So the risk of impermanent loss is much lower, right? Just naturally, because if the price is stable, then you don't have to worry, or that doesn't happen very often unless it's pegging and all this stuff. But they may get less trading volumes, they may earn less fees and all that stuff too. So you say like the token deal is you may have more volume, trading, you may make more trading fees. You may prefer to get one more token than another. You can literally do like a, you can place bets. It's almost like doing like limit order. It can be like a pseudo kind of like in the realm of limit order type stuff with it. If you want to eventually get more of one another based on some time horizon, a bunch of different advanced tactics. Just want to mention it. But with stable coins, some platforms, again, PHUX, for example, has this, you can earn their PHUX token. And there's like pretty decent size APR last time I looked on there as well, for stuff like that. So lower trading fees though, for example. And then if you do a token to a stable coin, that is, and you can see on the farms, those are the highest incentivized because again, having dollar value and stuff is good for the ecosystem and order execution and people who want to trade in and out of it. And the primary risk there is impermanent loss, right? Because if the price changes, so if you have like Pulse DAI or whatever it is, and Pulse goes way up, the way it tries to balance that stuff, you may end up with a lot more DAI rather than just holding it, for example. That's why people say, oh, why do LP when I can just hold assets? Like if you do LP, you may actually lose some of the value because you're getting the less valuable one. It's like the common way of saying it. But you're supposed to be earning the trading fees. And if it's a farm, maybe you're not earning trading fees for PulseX. Maybe other platforms you will, but with PulseX, for example, maybe you're earning the incentive token, which you believe is going to go up in value if you believe that and all that stuff. So, or it may be, again, advanced strategy, right? You may say, okay, I'm okay ending up with more of a stable coin every time. I want to sell, right? You're like essentially over time, it's kind of like you're doing a limit sell. If you do in that way, if you set it up where the price goes up with Pulse or whatever it is, whatever you have compared to the stable coin, and the stable coin, of course, stays flat unless there's some weird event. And you're like, okay, I'm going to pull it at a certain time because essentially without making a market order, without placing an order and doing a swap or a trade, I just did it through LP and now I ended up with a bunch of the DAI from it. So I ended up selling it basically. And if you're like, you may be okay with it, you may not be okay with it, but that's when you have to look at the ratios and all this other stuff too. So some people do it kind of like silent selling. You can get another token, essentially selling, or if you sell it for USD, like for that selling or otherwise. So there's different strategies and stuff with that too. And one sec. And you may get higher fees and stuff too. So not only are you able to, if you want to sell some of it or get some of the other side or whatever, you may be able to get earn more fees. Again, if you're not farming, if you're doing V2, the earn one with those pairs, because there may be a lot more trading volume and more opportunity to earn stuff like that. So there's no right or wrong with these. Like they all exist for a reason. And each one have their different risk profiles and things to look out for and things that don't apply in certain ways because you may be trying some advanced strategy or you may not. So don't get yourself wrecked. Again, try to understand what you're doing before you do it. And I'm not saying to do anything in particular or participate in any of these. I'm just laying out, how I believe the understanding of them that makes sense for people who want to participate. So that's myself, which I've enjoyed participating in. Okay, so went through that. I'll talk about, I think the biggest and most important thing to talk about before I get to questions is these farms. So I think that's the thing most people are thinking of is like, what is the difference between these farms? What are the, and we already talked about all of the risks, the different ways of looking at it, the different reasons people would participate in it and otherwise. But you can see even how they're incentivized, 20%. And there's a ton of liquidity in here too. So it sounds like, for example, most people may prefer this as, okay, permanent loss, I don't really care. I like PulseX. If you like both sides, why not participate in that type of thing? So it may be incentivized lower than what the devs or otherwise feel like is what they want more of in the ecosystem, such as stablecoins and stuff. And more people may be participating in it, which could affect the APR and the amount of liquidity that's in it all the time, and the share you're able to get when you go into it as well. So this one is consistently the lowest APR from the launch, because most people, for example, they may see it as the least risky, and it's hard to get a bigger share of the pool because there's already so much liquidity in it. And it's, other pools are just more desirable to be incentivized from the devs, for example. So that's Pulse and PulseX. So some people would say it's safer than the other ones, for example, as far as permanent loss goes and all that stuff. Then you have the stablecoins. Again, none of this is financial advice. I'm just talking about what my own personal opinion and what I hear people talk about and what I believe I've learned and stuff like that. So don't do anything I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the mechanics and stuff here. The stablecoins. So we got DAI, USDC, and USDT down here. I'm not sure why WETH maybe was created. Maybe this was added after or something. But so you got those, and combined liquidity, you got 60 plus 15, so 75. So around 75, $80 million liquidity between them. Highly incentivized. Again, some of these, you put 10K in, and you put whatever you want. Just do this, but 10K, over $1,000 a month. Okay, that is at current prices with ink. It could go up and down. The pool could go up and down. I think I'm not sure if they can modify. I believe the devs would have to remove the pool and add a new one to change the allocation points. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure. So it sounds harder to modify. If that's the case, it sounds harder to modify the allocation points. So those probably would stay more static. But the ink price could go up and down, and the amount of people in it could go up and down, which could affect your percentage of the pool if you were in it. And then you have the WETH pool. So I'll just show you real quick on the PulseX. Top the same amount in, 10K. So monthly, 166 currently. You had over 1,000 on the stable coins, roughly. And then with the WETH and Pulse, it's pretty interesting. So this is the one where, we got, you may have seen mega whales who've been buying a lot of ETH, who may or may not like our ecosystem, for example. And if you believe that they're making a trade and they're betting that ETH is going to go up, and the ETH ETF and all this stuff going on, a lot of other people have been talking about that too. What would you do if you thought ETH was going to go up and you thought Pulse was going to go up, or you didn't care which one of them you had in a time frame, in whatever time frame, next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, whatever? This pool is pretty interesting from that perspective because it's kind of in the middle. It's pretty heavily incentivized, but it's not the highest. So 10K in that would be just around $800 as of today. So, and again, this is what you got to decide. Like, are you okay? Again, you're not earning LP fees, but you're earning the incentive token and the liquidity. I mean, it's only 22. So, will that change in the future too? I don't know. Like that's so it's just one of those pools. Like you kind of try to figure out, what you like, where you think things are going, and what you're okay with if you end up with more than the other, if one of the prices run away and stuff like that. So that's the way I look at that pool. And then you got the Hex Pulse pool. So Hex Pulse pool 10K. It's kind of on the lower ones, but still, I say lower. It's 44%. Not bad, right? Better than you can get at your bank or any other thing that I consider PulseX a pretty safe platform, right? So I consider taking. That's one of the things I like about PulseX is, I'm not gambling on some DEX that may or may not be audited, all this stuff. There's plenty of good ones, good community ones out there that are, but going on a limb and say there's plenty of risky products as well. I try to avoid it, or at least not put too much into, or I don't know. The feeling of like getting rugged, I don't want that to happen. So These kind of things, it gives me an extra feeling of, okay, I don't have to worry about getting rugged, that sort of thing. So putting it in this pool, 10K, 30 days, $360. So again, that could be, you could look at that, or I could look at that, for example. I like saying what you all could do, but I could look at that as passive income. If I wanted to just accumulate it, save it over time or whatever, different strategies. If it got to a point where it was so much, where you wanted to pay yourself so much per month by, taking the ink and getting liquidity from it, there's options for that. Compounding it, like I'll talk about this. So that's Hex and Pulse. Then you got the ink pools, which are interesting. So a little bit higher. They're kind of like middle of the pack, but they're ink. So, you do 10K. This is the ink Pulse pool. Ink PulseX pool is around the same, around almost $500, almost $500 today's prices for 10K per month. And what I was mentioning earlier was, if you were to make the ink and then keep adding it to the pool with equal sides Pulse or PulseX, you can basically like claim it. I could claim it. I could buy more Pulse or PulseX, or just keep going for my bag, keep adding it to the pool, and keep compounding over time. If I believe ink's going to go up, and I believe Pulse or PulseX is going to go up, like that sounds like a strategy too that that people would think about and I could take advantage of, for example. So recompounding is very powerful too, and I think it's a pretty cool thing you can do. You can recompound the incentive token with your gains over each whatever time period that you want to keep adding to. And the buy pressure on PulseX was that if you don't already have it, you got to buy it to put it in. Pretty cool dynamics as well. So how many pools are they? Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pools. All different APRs, different liquidity levels, different risks. I tried to highlight a few of those. And yeah, that's how, when I look at them, I see, I can kind of see a spectrum of, okay, less risk, more opportunity. Do I like to compound inked? Am I okay silently selling over time? I'm okay getting liquidity where I put, I'm okay putting a bag in here, and eventually it all goes to stablecoin if the price goes up a lot in Pulse, for example, a particular bag. I'm sure there's like people doing some strategies like that too, of like, okay, this is the bag I'm going to sell. I'm going to put it in the farm. I'm going to earn ink. And also I'm going to get the ink at the end of it. And I'm also going to get the stablecoin, and I'm not going to hurt. There's not going to be any red on the price chart for me because I didn't sell, right? I just got more of the other token on the other side. So that strategy, I talked about a few different strategies that I've heard people talk about that, make sense to me and stuff like that. Again, please understand what you're doing before you participate in this. You could end up not getting a good deal if you place bets in a way that don't turn out the way you're thinking, or you didn't quite understand the permanent loss or otherwise. Again, please go to Go Real DeFi, learn to earn. Any of these topics that interest you, you can click on them. Farming is the one relevant to this. Click on that, goes yield farming, covers all this stuff, plus this video as well. We'll be on there.